You know, I've been doing this thing where I just go into random Discord calls with my friends and walk up to them like they're a barkeep and ask, any rumors around the town recently? That shit actually works. You can do that in real life at a Walmart. You'll find out about somebody's recent divorce. You can also find out like just about random shit happening on Twitter that isn't on your For You page. Something like that happened exactly for what I'm making this video about. My buddy Ed just presented me with a really compelling theory that I just had no context for myself because he's a fighting game nerd and I'm not. Also, yeah, welcome back to With a Y. And that would be the theory that Mortal Kombat 1's first DLC pack was supposed to have a much different third member than the Peacemaker John Cena we ended up getting, in that it was supposed to be part of the Rock's Black Adam marketing extravaganza. But there's some context we gotta lay out before we get there, so Ed, could you tell us what we're looking at?
First off, I want to make it absolutely clear. I am basing this on jack and shit. There is zero or hard evidence, hard nothing. Nothing about this is hard.
The misinformation disclaimer is not making it in. Chad, if you heard it, you're insane.
I've been a Mortal Kombat head since I was old enough to play them, and by that I mean definitely not old enough to play them, old enough to get my mom to buy them for me.
You haven't been into Mortal Kombat for more than like 2 months by my count.
Untrue. Mortal Kombat 9, still to this day, one of the best fighting games ever made. I stand by that shit. I have the PS3 copy in the other room.
Just to practice for a few months so we could go to a con, fight Sonic Fox handicapped, and still lost.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't even say I lost. I'd say I got fucking slaughtered. I was learning Gearus, the sand guy, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna hit Sonic Fox with the back shots combo. And then our friend 10 was like, brother, I don't think you're gonna hit Sonic Fox, period. I did not hit Sonic Fox, period. 10 was right. I got fucked up. It was crazy. Everybody was watching. Nobody was clapping.
He wasn't allowed to press face buttons either, was he?
They weren't allowed to press one of the kick buttons. So it wasn't that much. It wasn't that much of a handicap. And they played fucking Ghostface.
Ghostface is a DLC character though, like from what I understand, like the different combat packs like for each Mortal Kombat game are like themed.
I'm so glad you asked, because this is the root of my psychosis. Like, because this was like 2011 and this was still the PS3 360 generation, DLC characters were starting to become a thing, because at the time even Capcom wasn't doing these. Like Street Fighter 4, whenever they added characters, it would be with a new version. If I'm not mistaken, I think MK9 was actually the first game to do individual downloadable characters, and they had like 3 returning characters from older Mortal Kombat games, and then the 4th character was Freddy Krueger. The fucking first combat pack in MK9 didn't really have a theme. It was just, here's 3 characters and a guest character and we're done, and then they moved on to the next game, which I think was Injustice, but who gives a fuck? Mortal Kombat X, the guest characters were, so it was Tremor, Tanya, the other 2 were Predator and Jason. Predator, fucking dope. They also gave Jax a Carl Sagan skin.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. Hold up. No, I gotta find it. Carl Weathers, not Carl Sagan.
The level of fuck up to get
This was a different guy. Oh, this was a space guy.
Yeah.
Okay. The next combat pack, it was Triborg and Bull Right Show as the returning characters, Leatherface, and then Alien.
From Alien and Aliens.
You have a fighting game where you can do Alien versus Predator. The theme of these was horror icons. Aside from these, like, who else are you missing? Like, you got Jason versus Freddy, that's done. Leatherface from, what is it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You got Alien versus Predator. What else is missing? Like Mike Myers,
Slenderman,
horror icons. Then we get to MK11, where once again they do combat packs. So it was Shang Tsung, Nightwolf, and Sindel. Those were the returning MK characters. And then for guest characters, T-800, the Jonkler, and Spawn.
Weird bunch.
Little bit all over the place, but I can see Spawn and T-800 being like, oh, okay, these are like anti-heroes. And then the Jonkler's kind of just here. You did get this fucking skin though, like the Batman who laughed.
One note about him is like fucking terrible character, great design. I think the most use he's ever had is as like a Fortnite skin.
What? This is in Fortnite?
Yeah, like a weirdly rare skin, but it's in Fortnite. Clearly there's like some like rocks along the path, like the hegemony is being broken. There's not like a clear distinct theme from the jump, right? Like it's not 2 characters that are like clearly feel like they could be paired together, right?
Mm-hmm. And then things get a little bit more cohesive with the next pack, the Aftermath DLC, which came with a Shiva and Fujin, and then fucking RoboCop! RoboCop! My God!
And the actor returned for this one, right?
Peter Weller?
Didn't like all the actors return to reprise their roles except except for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Except for Arnie, correct. And Ed Boon told him, yeah, you have to record like 5 lines per character for each interaction. He went, nah, I'm not doing this. I'm putting a stogie in my mouth and I'm gonna go fuck a hooker. Which he did. It was his mate. So now, a little link here. Okay, these are like action heroes.
And at this point, like, I don't even think we need Spawn to establish connection. Like, it's like two cyborg 80s movies guys, whose actors are now 80.
Yeah, they are fucking old. Final DLC pack comes out. Ed Boon.
Who's Ed Boon, real quick?
Creator of Mortal Kombat. He negotiates with terrorists, and he adds Melina, Rain, who's not in this image, and Rambizzle. They add Chaboy from Rambo First Blood, Rambo 2, Rambo 3, etc., etc. So now it's like, okay, the iconic heroes of the 80s/90s. So now we're done with MK11.
Before we move on to the next game, key takeaways is that every game that had consistent DLC coming out had like a through line, right? Even if it like got shoddy at one point, there was always one character that was the anchor in each pack.
Definitely, and you can see it in this image of
the horror lineup versus this. Like,
yeah, like you absolutely see like the group that they were going for, you know? We're at MK1. The newest one. Before the game is even out, they announced the lineup for DLC characters. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit limp.
To anybody in chat who disagrees, don't worry, I am a fucking shill. Amazon shows I will always go to bat for. I love Jeff Bezos.
I love you, Jeff. Mwah. As returning MK characters, we got Quan Chi and Ermac and Takeda. Takeda to me was huge because he was like the best character in MKX, and none of the combat kids came back from MK11, which is like, all right, whatever. This game fucking stinks anyway. I don't care. And then MK1 is like, hey, we're bringing back the coolest fucking character from MKX. Enjoy. And I was all about it. And then as guest characters, fucking weird picks. Like, we go from icons of Hollywood, icons of action, Terminator, Rambo, RoboCop, Spawn, to Omni-Man, Homelander, and Peacemaker. Peacemaker from the Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad.
By James No Fun.
I had to think for a second what the Peacemaker show is called. It's called Peacemaker, by the way. I was going to say, is it James Maker?
Homelander, Omni-Man, Peacekeeper.
Is it Peacekeeper or Peacemaker?
Peacemaker.
I genuinely don't know. It's John Cena.
This is the issue. Like, it kind of comes into, why is this character here, right? Like, we can't remember his name. He's from a sequel to a movie that nobody likes. And then he got a spin-off of what is essentially a spin-off that didn't do that great.
I know 0 people that have watched Peacemaker. Like,
I've heard it's good, but like, it didn't have the cultural splash that like an Omni-Man or a Homelander did. Like, they kind of eclipsed the popularity of their shows in some ways.
You're not gonna see Peacemaker on Death Battle anytime soon, is what I'm saying.
There's no meme about Peacemaker that's like, are you sure? Or yummers? Like, I'm not, nothing.
Yeah, that's the cultural impact of either of those.
I don't have any Peacemaker stims.
And it also makes the entire like DLC season just feel kind of weird because 2 slots are used for like the exact same archetype, which is what if Superman was evil? Something about Peacemaker just stuck out to me like a sore thumb. I feel like he wasn't supposed to be here. I feel like he was kind of just added at the end, like maybe this combat pack was only supposed to be 5 characters and they wanted to have like the first one be evil Superman? Who knows? And then I had this thought. Homelander and Omni-Man both being in the same combat pack is definitely not accidental because the amount of like fan fights, like I said, Death Battle of like fan matchups of, oh, who would win between a fight, Omni-Man or Homelander from the same publisher, both were airing at like the same time. They're both like massive and fucking Peacemaker's just there.
And they had to go out of their way to talk to Amazon or whoever has the video game rights to specifically include characters that are knockoffs of a more iconic character they own. They did that for both of them. There was some work into getting these done, like, presumably.
Yeah, like, I know for a fact that Mortal Kombat 1 is going to be a game you're not going to be able to buy in 10 years. And Peacemaker's just there. And I was thinking, just like the previous packs were horror icons, action icons / anti-heroes, what if this pack was supposed to have the theme of evil Supermen and something happened behind the scenes that made it not happen?
I really wonder, what could that be? If I haven't spoiled it at the start for the sake of intrigue, tell us, Ed.
Evil Superman. Was there a third evil Superman during this era between The Boys airing and Invincible airing and this game coming out?
I know. Jupiter Ascending.
Not Jupiter Ascending.
I don't even know if he was evil in that.
My theory is that the third character wasn't supposed to be Peacemaker. It was supposed to be Black Adam. I'm fucking telling you, man, because the marketing behind this thing was so huge. They even used the death of the Queen of England to push it. They really thought this was gonna be massive, like revive the DCU, get fucking Henry Cavill back, all this shit. Pretty sure they put him in Fortnite. They put him in a bunch of random shit that no one remembers. The Rock was pretty much the main guy pushing the marketing.
He was trying to co-opt the DC universe and like basically center himself as like an Iron Man figure.
Sorry, this is frying me. Like the entire movie has the Mexico filter.
You can barely see the lightning bolt. He's got a light on his chest like it's an arc reactor.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we look up the box office for this compared to the budget? We can take this on the lowest budget. Typically, what you do is you take the budget, 1.5s it for marketing. So that puts this at a generously $300 million budget, probably larger considering the size of the push and the amount of tie-ins they did. If that's the case, it just barely.
Best case scenario, it broke even. For a movie like this, especially considering how it was just critically panned across the board and how the relationship between DC, Dwayne Johnson seemed to have immediately crumbled the moment the movie wasn't like the mega hit that they had hoped for.
This shit did so bad, The Rock repaired relations with like the Fast and Furious team and became a real actor again, taking A24 roles.
He repaired his relationship with WWE as well.
True, yeah, like he
started pulling up on that
shit
again.
the bed so bad, his entire 10-year plan was riding on this.
This came out 2022. Mortal Kombat 1 came out barely 10 months later. When The Boys had 2019 and Invincible aired in 2020. I think he was supposed to be the third one to keep the whole theme going. But by the time that the movie came out and Mortal Kombat was like deciding that its DLC lineup, they realized nobody gave a fuck about Black Adam.
That 10-month period might have been just enough time to look at their, like, what other DC Universe properties do we have? Fucking Peacekeeper that I'm pretty sure came out before Black Adam.
2022, yeah, right when the year started.
Well, they probably thought the movie was going to do well and that Black Adam as a cultural figure would have the staying power to be excited for by the time Mortal Kombat came out. Instead, he flopped even harder and they had to look at their roster and it's like, it's fucking John Cena, I guess it'll work.
Yeah, like that'll do. Let's get the other wrestler. You might be thinking, Ed, you're pulling this out of your ass. What evidence do you have? None. But there is a tiny gram, there is a speckle of hints to the fact that I might not be making this shit up, which is, this is not the first time they've pivoted on a DLC lineup at like the final hour. MK11 wasn't supposed to have the Jonkler. You remember quite that you were saying that, oh, out of all of these, the Jonkler's the one that kind of sticks out? He does, because he wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to be Ash from fucking Evil Dead.
Which would have been fucking perfect.
But what happened was, the moment you get like the first build of any game nowadays, like everybody's gonna know what the DLC is gonna be because for some reason they always leave like files in the game already.
Which is why they just announced the pack before the game's even out now.
Once the game comes out, people are gonna know. Like, in fact, I'm pretty sure people found out what the DLC characters were gonna be from like beta alone. Data miners found all of these unique files and sound bites that pertain to Ash. It was supposed to be Ash, and then at some point, Bruce Campbell, he tweets, boy, looks like a small game. I don't have to check it out. You know?
We've established that there is a theme in every like game set of combat packs. They've stuck to pretty rigidly. We have proof that they've pivoted at the last minute and included an oddball character when the original theming for all the guest characters didn't work out. And they usually default to one that they have like the rights for immediately because it makes their lives easier, correct?
Yeah.
I'd like to make an addition to this theory, some stuff I've noticed going through this, that I think supports your theory more. We were talking about the Batman Who Laughs getting a Fortnite skin at around the same time as he got a Mortal Kombat skin. I don't think it's a stretch to think they would do that with Black Adam. My thing is, like, the quintessential evil Superman is made by the same guys. Like... Like, actual Superman, evil Superman is the main villain of the Injustice game. That feels like easy shoo-in. How many combat packs were there per game? Like 3?
2 to 3, yeah.
Who was in the second combat pack for Mortal Kombat 1?
This is where it gets, like, weird because I can't tell you what the fuck the theme for this one is. I think this was just like, we're gonna slap shit together and hope it's cool. This was Ghostface, T-1000, and Conan the Barbarian.
I think this is where the entire plan fell apart. They did the Fortnite brain synergy, and also Warner Bros is kind of in the dumps where they're doing like these kind of evil Supermen and like, or just evil superhero fake outs. Like in the Suicide Squad, all the DLCs revealed the Justice League is actually alive and you killed clones. They faked out like you didn't kill the Justice League, Batman is still alive, all that stuff. You do all the versions of evil Superman you can get on, and then in a few months, to sync up with the release of a new who movie?
I don't know.
Superman. You just bring normal Superman. I think there is a semblance of that plan that you can clearly tell fell apart by how random pick these are. One of them is Arnold again. Another is the Terminator again. And the other is a classic horror villain again. The iconic one that didn't make the cut the last time.
I think you're onto something, but also part of me is kind of glad that Ghostface didn't make the cut, because the whole gimmick of MK1 is that it's a tag game now. Like they call them cameos, but it's a tag game like Marvel style. And what they did was Ghostface as a concept of it always being multiple killers. They turned Ghostface into an innately tag character.
Oh, that's
where
fucking
while you're
awesome.
fighting as Ghostface, you tag in a different Ghostface, and now he has different moves because it's a different guy.
I think, like, even if it's circumstantial, the contextual clues do lead to some fun theory crafting and speculative fiction on our part.
Because they did the Injustice games, they had Black Adam, like, sitting right there. They easily could have done it. My thing is, the amount of collabs that this was going through, the amount of, like, marketing that this was, like, getting shoved down everyone's face, the fact that they have pivoted before, that leaves this pack feeling so just... It's such, like, a worst-case scenario, because now the pack just feels like, oh, they wasted 2 slots on evil Superman. I think people are just asking the wrong questions. I think the question should be, why the fuck is Peacemaker there?
Exactly.
And my theory is, he wasn't supposed to be there, brother. It was supposed to be the king of the DC universe. He was gonna change the world.
This is really sold to me, bet like, or like a studio that does Mortal Kombat makes the evil Superman game too. Quotes and leadership lessons from Black Adam.
I'm pulling this completely out of my ass. What I'm trying to say is this 100% happened. 100%. It needs to have happened, because why is Peacemaker here? That's Conan. Why is Peacemaker here?
On the integrity of the journalist, I'm not. I co-sign this entirely. Any last words? And I'm just gonna out you real quick.
All I'm saying is this guy's an evil dude.
Oh my god. Anyways, that's all I got. Be sure to check out Ed. He's in the description. He makes great stuff, and he's a good friend of mine. Piss off.